Hello, my lovely Samantha-Jayne Love here from Love Talk, and I am an unconditional love expert who is here to expand the amount of love that is on this beautiful earth that we have here. And the way that I'm doing that is through talking with beautiful people, just like our special guest today, and getting them to share with us what it is that drives them and what they really, truly, truly love. So, I have the great pleasure of introducing today's guest, Fiona Dyer from Creating Wings. Hi, Fiona. Thank you for coming on with us.
Oh, hi, Samantha-Jayne. Hi, everybody. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Yay, thank you. So, Fiona and I have a few things in common. So, anyone that's known me for a long, long time will know that I'm all about the butterfly. And today, just to be a little bit cheeky, I have put my butterfly wings on.
Love it.
Yeah, not that these really come out very often, but
Why? It should
so
be like everyday attire.
every day wear like a different
Yeah.
pair for each day.
Yeah.
Totally. And the reason why we both, and from chatting and getting to know each other, the reason why we love butterflies so much is that the process that they go through to become that beautiful, majestic, awe-inspiring creature that, people are just like amazed by their colors and the mystique of them.
So
And the
true.
process, yeah, the process is that this little caterpillar, and they're normally pretty ugly, goes through life, and then it eats and eats and eats and eats, and it makes a little cocoon and called the chrysalis, and then it really has to go through a stupid amount of pain, a
Mm.
stupid
Mhm.
amount of pain for those beautiful wings that have happened within that process. I'm not a scientist. I know just they go in not so pretty and they come out really pretty. But it's the
Yeah.
pain process. And if they don't go through that process, they can't fly.
Mm. Yep. So true.
So true. And,
And
that's,
basically, they
yeah,
completely break down. So the caterpillar completely breaks down. It goes into like a goo, I guess, which is similar to us. When we've been through something massive, we completely
totally.
break down and we go into a goo before we can rebuild.
Yeah. And that's where the magic is, the goo, the
Yes.
where did you find all of this new inspiration? In my goo.
Yeah. No,
Maybe
great,
that'll
right?
be my new call sign or something. Where did you find your inspiration? In my goo.
In my goo.
Yeah. So, and if anyone's seen the whole process, if you watched a documentary, if you've been privy enough to even have see the silkworms going into the silk moths when you were at school, I know that at my school a gazillion years ago, that's what we did. Everyone got to carry the little silkworms around,
Mm.
and I know that I don't think that anyone ever just goes through one transformation process.
No.
So that is why we are here and why we do the beautiful work that we do.
Hmm.
So, creating wings, what was it? What was your stuck? What was your goo?
What was
How
my
did you fall
goo?
in? What was your goo? Share your goo with us. How are you here today?
Wow. I'll share you my caterpillar first. So,
Ooh.
yeah, when I was a caterpillar, um, so I was in a long-term relationship, married for nearly 15 years, and that relationship ended badly, and I had to rebuild my life from nothing. I literally left. It was a toxic relationship towards the end, and I literally left with a tin of money, with my two little girls and a station wagon full of our stuff, and our whole world was in our car. And you know, I went and stayed with my parents for a while, and then eventually got my own house. Started to rebuild. Started to then got into another relationship before even healing properly. Guess what? It was another toxic relationship. I hadn't healed anything. I hadn't learned anything. I had my son in that relationship, so I got a beautiful blessing of, I now had 3 children. I found myself a single mum. And guess what? If you think that that wasn't enough, oh no, I went back for a 3rd time. I didn't have any more children, but I had another toxic relationship. And I was dating these men that were different forms of the same person, and allowing that mistreatment, I guess. When the 3rd relationship ended and I had to start from scratch all over again with 3 little babies, in tow, 3, children, and I was so broken, like I was so sad and depressed and scared of the world. Like I remember thinking, there's got to be more than this, like. And I really strongly remember feeling that I was at a crossroads, and I could go the way I was going, and I would end up a bitter woman, a bitter and twisted. I'd seen it, and you see those people in your life, and you think, what happened to you?
Yeah.
And how come you didn't get up again? What happened? I could feel I was there, and something really major had to change and transform in me, because I was the common denominator, to create a better life, a beautiful life. So I made a really conscious shift, and I started educating myself and, learning about self-love and self-worth, and I just couldn't get enough information. Like I started studying. I started with learning about community services, and then I studied counselling and coaching and that sort of thing. And through all my searching, I started to feel better, and I realized the power of our own mind. Like, wow, I had depression and anxiety is in the mind, and
totally.
And people don't get it, because you don't have a physical ailment or whatever. They don't understand that something as simple as, oh, hey, do you want to come to a party on Saturday night? There's going to be other people there that, they're going to judge me, it's outside of my own safe zone.
All of that.
Exactly. And by, bit by bit by bit by bit of, learning how to rein in my brain, like if you think of it like a wild horse that's just run off, and my thoughts were, you can't do this, you're not good enough, who are you, you're a terrible mother, you've done this, all these bad relationships,
shame,
you're never going to have a good
and the
one.
guilt.
Big time. So I thought, hang on, time to rein back in, and so that's my goo point.
So the goo point was all of the toxic relationships, and then going, all right, what the goo is me. The goo is me. That's a hard pill to swallow.
Oh my God, yes.
And your chrysalis phase or your cocoon phase is the learning and the unfolding, because we do a lot of spinning when we're in that.
Oh yeah, and it's dark.
Totally.
You're in that darkness. You're in your own little world, and like you said, it's the spinning and the turning, and you're like, ah, and then a little crack opens, and they say that you need a crack to let in the light, and that's when you can start to go, oh wow, I'm through this. I'm through the other side, and I love my life. I've got a beautiful life. I've brought joy into my everyday, and if you told me that 10 years ago, I would not have believed you, and we all have that power, and that's what I just love. It just lights me up so much to know that, we can guide people on this mission to feel better, to choose, to learn how to rein in your mental health, to learn the everyday things that can really help with feeling better. And create your wings, basically.
That's perfect. Brings me to, I'd love to share this little little, I suppose, snippet on what a butterfly wish is with
Love
everyone.
it.
If anyone desires a wish to come true, they must first capture a butterfly and whisper that wish to it. Since a butterfly can make no sound, the butterfly cannot reveal the wish to anyone but the Great Spirit who hears and sees all. In gratitude for giving the beautiful butterfly its freedom, the Great Spirit always grants the wish. So, according to legend, by making a wish and giving the butterfly its freedom, the wish will be taken to the heavens and be granted.
Oh, I love that so much.
How beautiful is that? And it is true that sometimes when we're hoping and dreaming of another life, when we're stuck in our goo, we forget to give the freedom to ourselves.
Yeah.
Which,
And knowing that we're worthy as well. That's a huge one, I
yes,
think.
yes. And so we've been talking a little bit, and I think worthiness comes through this special little trick in life called boundaries. It's one of the things they probably should teach at school. So, what is Fiona's tips on boundaries, and how have you implemented them into your life?
So, thank you. So, basically, what it comes down to, having the toxic relationships that I had, and I'd also had, some bad bosses and stuff at different times. I realised that it was because I didn't have any boundaries. And boundaries are so, so important. And it's allowing yourself to go, hey, it's okay for me to have boundaries. It's okay for me to teach people how I want to be treated. And my boundaries might be different to Samantha-Jayne's, which might be different to yours. And it's the instruction booklet for how we wish to be treated. It's very important.
Yeah, awesome. I'm just commenting. We've got some people online saying hi to us.
Hi.
Hi. So, what if we're talking to somebody that hasn't got any boundaries? What would the top tips would you give them in setting those boundaries and then implementing them? Because it's all right to say, I'm not going to no longer settle for X, Y, and Z. What is your top tips for someone to, if they've never set a boundary before, or maybe they don't even know what boundaries are? Let's just maybe look at that first. What is a boundary, and how do we set it?
So there's different types of boundaries. So there's physical, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, sexual, and can't remember the sixth one.
It will come.
Yeah, it will. Tonight at 2 a.m. You know what it's like.
Probably. And then she'll post it in the comments.
So basically, having a boundary is exactly that. It's rules for how we wish to be treated, what's okay for us. Some boundaries can be really strong and strict. It's like a brick wall. So, for example, a physical boundary may be that you don't like being touched. You might be okay with family touching you, but not a stranger. So it's okay for you to say, I don't want a hug. But, there's always a nice way to do it. You don't go, get away from me. You can start with, I'm not actually comfortable with hugging, but I'm happy to shake hands. Or let's air high five. Or if you don't even want to touch, COVID, just thumbs up, whatever it may be. And that's okay. Some boundaries, like I said, have to be really strong and rigid. Because, like say, for example, you might have a boundary around borrowing money. Money. There you go. That's another one, and time. So, so your boundary around borrowing money may be really strict, and it may have to be because your budget might be so tight that you don't even have a dollar to share. So you might say, I have a 100% really strong boundary on not borrowing money. Then, your best friend comes and goes, oh, hey, I just need just $20, please. Now that boundary needs to be strong and rigid. And you go, no, I'm not able to lend that to you, or I don't wish to lend that to you at the moment or at all. And that's okay. Now, the thing is, often when people aren't used to you putting up a boundary, they'll push against it because they're not used to it. You've always been, okay, whatever, just take all my money or take all my time, take all my energy, whatever it is. So they're going to push up against it and be like, hang on, what? There's a boundary? What is this strange thing? So they're going to poke at it and they're going to go, are you sure I can't have the $20? Like, we've been friends for years. Like, you know, come on, it's me. And if it's a rigid boundary, which you know that if you give them $20, that means that you can't buy bread and milk for your kids, then that needs to be a strong boundary where you go, no, that's not something I'm able to do right now. And they might poke again. They might poke again. And you know,
they
it's
definitely
okay.
will.
Yeah, they will. They really will. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to assert your boundary, you know. And sometimes things happen where, you know, people drop out of your life when you set boundaries.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder if they were the right people to have in your life in the first place.
Yeah, and I think a part of having a great deal of self-love is about knowing how to implement these boundaries. I know that when I was going on this self-love journey, I was a people pleaser. Anything anybody wanted.
Me too.
Big time, big time. So it was like, yeah. I want to be the, you know, I want to be seen as the person to go to, or yeah, I'm all of this and more, much more. So, you know, like even all of the things. And when I was like started my journey of learning, when I would start putting boundaries in, it would really push my edge and it would make me feel, it would bring up things like being alone, being isolated, and it would really test whether I was going to be firm with my boundaries or whether I'm going to not love myself and just, or they will give me that outside affirmation when I do their 5,000 things for themselves. So it is a to and fro, and it's, you know, you won't be a marathon runner overnight.
No,
It's
that's
something,
right.
yeah, it's something that we learn as we're going along. So, so how would you suggest to the people at home of how they would put their boundaries? Like, is there a task that they could do, or how would you suggest that they consider their boundaries even?
Yeah, just start small, and like Samantha-Jayne says, it's really a bit about being aware and being okay with what's right for you. You know, what's right for me may not be what's right for the next person, and it's okay. So what I would invite you to do is sit down and work out what would be a physical boundary that is an absolute brick wall. It's an absolute no. You know, you don't go whatever it is. It could be something as gross as, you know, someone blows their nose and then they won't shake hands. Well, that's a brick wall for me. And even though it's funny, it's a good one to start with, right? Because like, well, you know, we think, oh no, well, I don't mind. Like, oh, I just want people to be happy. Ugh, that's not being happy. That's
Still
disgusting.
nasty.
So, you know, it's okay to go, that's 100% brick wall, that one. So just having that awareness and maybe do a little bit of journaling around what are your 100% no-nos. Maybe think of 3.
Yeah, perfect. So what we may do is in the comments, we might just put those subheadings of all the ones that you can think about. And it doesn't have to all happen in the one process as well. This is the beautifulness about setting boundaries, because if we've never had them before, this will feel really clunky. And it will feel very clunky.
And just starting small.
Yes. And what would be the first thing that, let's bring up the subject of saying no.
Okay, yeah. There's some really great boundaries, really great videos on saying no. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the one on, I think it's on YouTube, and it's about a cup of tea. And they say, when we put
Yeah,
it
I
as a
love
cup
that
of
one.
tea, it's like, do you want a cup of tea? No, thank you. Or have the cup of tea. And it's like, no, I don't want to. So, sometimes it's physically saying no. Sometimes when we're people pleasers, that actually saying the N-O word, like, let's practice, guys. No.
No.
Yeah, it can feel really like confronting. So
Yeah.
start small. Maybe start with the lady at the checkout when she asks you if you want a plastic bag. No, thanks. Like it can be just exercising and practicing in a safe way with little things can be a great way. And then you can build on that. And then next time your kids go, right before dinner, hey, Mom, can I have a biscuit? No.
Yeah, I think I have to exercise that one a little bit more because lately, the old biscuit before dinner for the piece of my brain
I
has
know,
been
right?
yeah, it's like, oh yeah, that was a great one. Yes, say no. Well, and I think you have to weigh up your pros and cons,
That's
and that's
right.
probably why it's probably a good idea even just to with all of the different the subject headings that we have is maybe just have a pro and con list of it and how there could be a from 0 to 10 how firm are you on this
I
thing
like
and
that. Yeah.
yeah one of the things that through my trainings we in the embodiment method that I do is saying no in sexual spaces is really uncomfortable because I think both men and women have been done onto. You have your first experience and then you think that works and you just keep doing it. And there can be a lot of times where women just say yes because it's easier than having the no conversation. So, yeah.
Yeah, and especially in this world now of Tinder and those kind of dating apps and stuff where people are meeting lots of people and that sort of thing. It really is important to know what you're comfortable with, and those they can be firm boundaries, and
Yeah,
not just in actual sex, but it's in the lead up as well. So,
totally. Yeah.
yeah, and people showing you graphic content as well. So if you're not comfortable with porn or you don't like the sexually explicit language or anything like that, it's actually okay it's important to communicate it in that sense as well. Along the way. So if someone, slaps you on the ass and they're like, hey babe, how about it? It's okay to go, actually, I'm not comfortable with that. I don't know you. You might be comfortable with it when you've, been dating them for some time, but if it's at the pub, it's okay to go, hey, it's not all right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not 1970s anymore. It's
No, where we're all smoking it,
2021. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think too, we as women have a voice now, and we can
Mm-hmm.
say what is okay. What some people really enjoy being slapped on the ass, and some people don't like being slapped on the ass. So
That's right.
this
And
this
that's okay.
conversation's definitely gone
It went,
sideways. But these are, like we're making light of something that is really quite serious. And, these are things that that on this show that I want to talk about because these are conversations that I've got 2 young daughters, you've got 3 children as well, not just daughters, you've got a son as well. But these conversations are what we should be having with our kids now because
100%.
yeah, these are things that are real life things and these are probably the things that create a lot of trauma within that hemisphere.
Oh,
Anything under
100%.
that banner is probably one of the most, yeah, probably the biggest thing to have a boundary around, not to say that there's not other things, but if we lax on the other things, we're definitely going to lax within that hemisphere of our
That's right. And so
body.
it's about building the boundaries in all areas, and the sexual ones need to be, your strongest,
Yeah.
and to know that if they're not interested in you when you've said no, then that's a good thing. That's actually a blessing,
That's,
like it's like,
yeah, that's a bit of a hello.
yeah,
Do we want to be here sign?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And a lot of my clients have had all sorts of trauma and abuse and such over their, in their childhoods, teenage years, and even now, and that's a massive thing that we've been working through with them is learning self-worth, because
Yeah.
sometimes in not having the boundaries to say, actually, I'm not comfortable with that, has put some of my clients in some really awful situations,
Yeah.
so it's knowing that you're worth it. It's knowing that, you deserve to feel safe, and not just safe, but loved and happy and adored.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
So, Fiona, how can the people at home get in contact with you if they want to find out further how to create their wings?
Oh, beautiful. Well, I'm on Facebook as Creating Wings, and I'm also on Instagram, Creating Wings Coaching. So it's creating_wings_coaching. So you can find me
So
on
we
there
can put
too.
them in the comments
Yeah,
anyway.
and I'd
Yes.
love to hear how you're implementing your boundaries this week.
Yeah. Are you talking
Hmm.
to me?
I'm talking to all of you. All of
Yes.
you.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. Yeah, we would love to know how just one boundary that
Hmm.
everyone is implementing this week. That would be a lovely sort of thing to know who is implementing a boundary. That would be great. Thank you everyone for watching. This has been Samantha-Jayne from Love Talk, the place where we get to talk about what people love and drive them to influence the love upon this beautiful earth that we live on. We will be back on Thursday with Love Talk. Thank you so much, Fiona, for coming on and sharing this space with me. Let's talk more about butterflies soon because we love them so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved every minute.
Thank you, my darling. All right. We'll see you all soon for Love Talk.